This is how I feel every time I FaceTime someone. I build it up, I get overheated, and then suddenly I can't breathe and my bra's too tight.
How are you doing right now?
I built it up, I can't breathe, and my bra's too tight.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. This isn't going to be perfect.
I'd like to see my hair.
It's incredibly hard to talk to the camera. This is take 3 or 4, but we wanted to do something a little bit different, which was try to have a normal conversation without putting on a performance, talking to the camera kind of voice, which I'm probably using right now. But
No, you're not.
But the truth is, it's been a while since we've done anything on YouTube, and it is still this thing in our mind that we think is important and something that we have this desire to do. We've always said we want to be as real as we can, and I just finished editing 2 videos of something we'll talk about more in just a second. And there's so much good there. There's so much realness there. But at the end of the day, we're still making edits, we're still making cuts, and there's still not it's not everything. And
it's not a camera just watching us. It's one of us intentionally picking it up, putting it in our face, and actively thinking of what do I want to communicate. And so, as real as it is, it's still more of this like monologue, self to camera, and presented in a way that of course is animated and that you want to watch because it's authentic, but it's this like up energy of the moment that we kind of like push through the camera a little bit.
yeah, so this is an effort to be a little bit different. We're gonna shoot for like shooting a 30-minute video of us talking about kind of life, where we are, and some goals and things that we have on our mind and on our heart. So we'll see how it goes. We got some bullet points here, but we may or may not follow those. But ultimately, we wanted to invite you in on this discussion, conversation. But I think the last video you saw was us in New York State, and that was
last fall.
Yeah, coming up on like a year ago, like of that lived time. And we've had so much between then and now, whether it's traveling or other projects or family time. I mean, we just didn't pick up the camera for much of that. And I don't really have the best answer as to why we didn't, other than it was just feeling like too much.
I think feeling like pressure, and for me wanting to make sure anything we put on camera was our authentic self. And that was also a time we were going through inner child work, figuring out more about where we want to be, questioning how we felt about this life. And so it's challenging in those moments to want to pick up the camera and say, this is where we are. And it's great because that's true, but there's also this like underneath thing of all this other stuff that we're working through, which is also true. And so this talking video gives us a chance to share more of that, sort of the behind the scenes of what's been going on. We're in Wyoming right now.
Completely new to us.
Brand new to us. We are in the Medicine Bow National Forest. It is the 4th of July, and reflecting on... Was it okay to say that?
Yeah.
Okay.
There ain't no rules.
Reflecting on just the beauty that we're able to see and experience, and to be able to be parked here in this box on this national forest land. I don't know. It's just given me time to reflect today on sort of the America and the country that we get to see and experience with the work that we're doing, and also living like we do. So I don't know, it just felt timely and fitting, and feeling the gratitude of that as I woke up this morning and thought about everyone celebrating the 4th of July, and here we are parked in a national forest, just like looking at this country we haven't seen that much of still, but thinking of like the parts we have seen and really gotten to know how much that's shaped us as people. And it's just something I'm really grateful for.
I think it's totally fitting that we get to celebrate it however we want to, and honestly it's taking advantage of one of these beautiful resources of national park land. And I don't know. I think that's just so beautiful. Like, we've been like in work mode a lot, and last month and a half, well, I could say 6 months of stimulation and just things in the heart and mind, stimulation, and just, I don't know. We left Nebraska and we're like, let's go somewhere where we can rest, where we can be, and this place provided that for us. We've been parked for 5 nights at a place that we've affectionately now call Marmot Hill.
Oh, I thought it was Marmot Land.
Okay.
It's also Marmot Hill, Marmot Bluff, Marmot Mountain.
We're up on a mountain. We're up on a hill at 8,000 feet.
What can we get a look? Come on, he's not gonna move. Hill King of Marmot Land.
This is also new to us. Watching marmots out the window is completely new to us. It is pretty awesome to be waking up in this place and taking advantage of this thing. Because in all of our travels, especially on the east side of the country, this resource isn't as prominent. I mean, we're experiencing the van life that people like get to experience all the time. They're just like, oh, let's just go park on some federal land and just, veg out and camp out. And we're like, we've never been able to do that. We've been mostly at places we know, or taking little leaps to go to new kind of places, or we've been in the comfort of Cracker Barrel parking lots. So this is just like, I don't know, like we've been hot, so hot. There's a heat wave.
Not here. We're not hot here.
No, but like traveling here, like we opened up the windows and we just like laid down, and there was like, I think at that time it was like 60 degrees of just cool moving air, and we were just like, this is it. This is all I've needed.
To be comfortable in your home, and that's something we don't talk about that often, but when it gets hot, or even coming off this big mural we just did, we're outside all day, so we are hot, but we're not dealing with the hotness of this box. And when it's just in the sun all day, or even in the shade, it gets hot. So it's that feeling of having to be outside because it's cooler to be outside than inside your home. And when you get to that point, things can get more stressful because no one wants to feel like you can't go in your home and cool down and come down. And I found myself realizing more and more how heat sensitive I am. And so for us to be able to drive into temperatures that almost gave us this like fall feelings rush, like before this I went outside and had to put on a hoodie because it's in the 50s and it's windy, and I feel bad even telling you that because it's hot everywhere. But for the life we live, which is basically camping outdoors, the feeling of getting to have that comfort of air being cool it's felt life-saving lately, to be able to actually come down from this big mural effort we did, because we finished and then we were hot and we couldn't really come down and rest, which I guess means we should probably tell them what we were just doing, what project, because they don't know.
Well, okay, so we'll be able to show you more soon, because I just edited 2 videos that show really a lot of behind the scenes of making a mural, and we just finished a big, amazing experience of a mural in Falls City, Nebraska. And oh boy, it's go ahead.
There's so much to say about it, and I think a lot of it is said in the video, but I think the bigger thing that we want to say and haven't said is spending time there is like the epitome of the kind of project we want to do. It's everything we've set out for in this work, in this life that we're living, and we got to bring that to life, which was amazing and beautiful and wonderful. But for the month of being on, we're almost in this like community service mode. We're in this mode of being on. We're showing up for this place, for this project, and then trying to find the balance of showing up for ourselves and for our marriage. And basically all self-care goes out the window. We're eating dinner at 10:30 p.m. We're going to bed after midnight. We're doing it all over again. And so the video really shows what that takes. And so for me, it's been healthy watching back and seeing how much it took, because it makes sense that we're so worn out. And we always say, like, we're going to make it smaller so we're not going to wear ourselves out that much, but
Literally the first lines of the when we picked up the camera in Nebraska, we're like, we're going to make this small. We're not going to burn ourselves out. And
but it's almost
yeah,
impossible. I didn't mean to cut you off. It's
No,
almost impossible in the sense of, like, the whole point is that we can go all in and give so much. And there's a beauty to that. At times it stretches me beyond my capacity, but at times it stretches me in ways I need to be stretched. And at the end, it's always worth it. And it teaches us how to stay in it for other things, but it's also takes so much. And that's a lot of what you'll see in the video. It's like, you get this end goal that everyone loves, and, you know, there's this applause and this gratitude for other people for what we did and to us for the community, but then you see, like, oh my gosh, we had some hard days to get there, and anything that means that much to you does take that much. But it would not be sustainable for us to live that way all the time. So coming off that, like, we needed to have time to just repair mentally, physically, emotionally, and get back, in a sense, to some things that have just gone by the wayside recently. And that's really what we're doing here in Wyoming, chasing temperatures, finding a place that could just be us and be offline a little, mentally offline, and to reset.
you know what's funny about that is we came to this most beautiful vista that we have here, and the weather's amazing and the landscape is just beautiful, and we're on open land here. And the amount of times we've been outside, or I'm speaking for myself, been outside, I can count on one hand. We had an experience, kind of like an excursion yesterday, but other than that, like, because of the way we live and the way we built this home on wheels, like, we are outside all the time. It's like we're tent camping, just one level up from tent camping.
Maybe two, but
2 levels up.
2 levels.
But what I'm saying is, like, the windows are always open. We're always feeling the sun, the wind. We're chasing bugs out of our space.
That usually doesn't happen. Last night was a rare occasion, but yeah.
Yeah, just the weirdest thing is that moths have been coming in at night, and then once they get in here, they freak out, and
we freak out.
one of us doesn't like it more than the other, and I have my things, but this thing is just terrified Sarah, and it just goes on all night long where they're just coming out of the woodwork.
I need to look up the symbolism of moths, but I'm not going to do that right now, in case it's weird.
Yeah. I mean, anyway, what I'm saying is, like, when somebody says, oh, are you getting out every day? Are you getting out? It's so beautiful. It's like, no, man, like, we are chilling hard. Like, I think the second day we were here was a Sunday. Like, we just slept and slept. Like, I think I took 4 naps that day.
And I took a nap, which is like groundbreaking news report. Sarah took a nap, because if you ask Andrew or my mom would tell you I retired naps, like, by the time I learned how to climb out of the crib and, like, run. So I'm just saying, I don't often let my body come down in that way where my brain goes entirely offline during the day.
Yeah.
And I'm able to just let it all catch up and cycle through. Was on my period also, so that made it a little easier, but I mean, last month on my period, I was doing a mural and working 10-hour days, so
Yeah.
that's, you know, giving ourselves that rest has been huge. And, like, time with each other without expectation, because
Without the external forces kind of pushing on us in some sort of way.
yeah, like, we're together all the time. People comment on that, like, oh my gosh, you guys are together all the time, but, like, it's not about us and our marriage when we're on doing that work. Like, yeah, we're together and we're having fun and we're doing it, but we're not, like, meeting our own needs or meeting each other's needs. We're just, like, a little bit in survival mode and trust the process mode. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of spoiling everything in the video that you're gonna see, but that's okay, because that's
There's some pretty painting in it.
there's some pretty pictures. But no, I mean,
Well, let's go. That takes us again to the highs and lows of living
Oh.
this way, I think, too. Like, a lot of what we talked about this morning was how do we rekindle... I hate
before
that
the
word.
camera.
Yeah. I don't like the word rekindle, but like, how do we... Okay, we're here, we're rested. Now, how do we approach betterment? Or how do we repair the things that aren't working or need to be better?
And not lose the momentum from the project too, but at the same time, like, not go right into more doing and more planning for the next thing.
Yeah, how do we manage all this? And I will say our life is weird, and we've talked about maybe how the future will be different for us, but for now it's this, where we have a big project and it's intense, like we've talked about, and then there's this lull or this repair or this quiet time. And so what do we need to do in those times? And we talked a lot about this over grits this morning, of like...
Girls raised in the South.
Girls raised in the South, yeah. What's the structure we need to implement so that we can be better for each other and better for ourselves? Because we don't have a deadline or pressures from other people to be doing anything different. So
Only pressures from ourselves. So, yeah.
yeah,
Some of that was bringing back time for things that have dropped off. Like for me, that's yoga and meditation, things I talk about more than I do. We went for a trail run yesterday. That was huge because that was an experience together out in the world. And I think those experiences are part of it too, because that's what this life affords. But for me, it's also how to not have too much new and too much experience, because that overloads my brain and what I'm able to process. That might have been getting off track, but I still think some of the stuff we talked about this morning was helping with that, because right now we could go do anything. We could go do 10 adventures a day, you know?
yeah,
We could also hole up and work on YouTube for hours, or writing on hours, or painting for hours. So it's like trying to find this rhythm again, now that it's just me and you out in the world. And we really haven't had that in some time, because like you said, before this mural, it was the 6-week blocks between Florida and North Carolina for basically fall and winter,
yeah,
which was amazing and had so many beautiful moments shared, but it was a lot of like relationship focus, whether ours or more so with family in these familiar places. And so, you know, I had some physical therapy. Like there were all these things that were like always working on something else, not just this sort of tempo.
and it's what we preach against a lot. Honestly, it's like, I think of the frog that jumps from a lily pad to lily pad, and it can't stay too long on that lily pad or else it'll sink. So it jumps
Bloop.
to the next one.
Bloop.
Yeah, and it's just, we don't want to live our life that way. We've seen examples of that in our experiences.
It's why we live this life.
It is, and it made the big choice for us to do things this way. But yeah, so, but how do we not fall right into that with just a different kind of flavor? Like, how do we do it our own way? And I don't know, I won't share the things, but like sitting down and for me writing a visual diagram of what we want more of what we need structure for, of what we want to cut out.
And also like what this time is for. I think that was like the guiding question. And like the one thing we know is the direction of where our next project will take us in place, and that's looking like back in Elkin in the fall, Elkin, North Carolina, which is our home base that we spend a lot of time in.
That's what we tell people when they ask where we're from.
Technically we say our hometown, we grew up in the Panhandle of Florida, Lower Alabama, but our home base is more Western North Carolina, the small town of Elkin. That is our talking point.
That's the spiel right there.
And then
That's the
someone
script.
either says, oh, I know Pensacola, or I know, but the truth is, you know, we know what's next, in a sense of like something that we're sort of like seeing for fall, and where that'll land us back in the South. And I'll be honest, after the project in Nebraska, when we're hot and tired and just sensory overload for me, like half of me wanted to just drive to the Boone, North Carolina Cracker Barrel and go running in the woods and be somewhere that was known that I could just chill. But at the same time, like, while we're out this way, not saying seeing more in the sense of trying to see everything in our country, because that also overwhelms me when I look at the map and I'm like, oh, we're only 10 hours away from this national park or this or this or this. Like, I don't have to see everything to feel it and experience it, meaning this time is about us experiencing new together, seeing places in the way Andrew and Sarah do them, which is slow, connected, and not to just check off a box that I was here, or, you know, like for us it was big driving a place we knew was close to 9,000 feet, thinking, oh my gosh, we're going to have to do this big climb with Marshy, and turns out it was like a gradual climb in a day, and before we knew it we were here, and like there wasn't a significant mountain climb that we even noticed. So it's like this time is getting out of our heads, being willing to experience more, to be more of the people we want to be for the things we want more of in our life. Like, I say that's my life work, or the whole point of this whole life is to let it grow us into the people we want to be. And I know I'm not there now. I know the mural helped stretch me in lots of ways of staying in it and working through some resistance I have of just staying in something that's incredibly difficult mentally and physically, but this also stretches us in a different way. I have my own share of fears and limits in my head, and it's like, you know, even running yesterday, not thinking about getting stung by a bee out there when I don't have anything, or this guy telling me to be aware of mooses. Moose? Moose? I wonder, what's the plural of moose? Meese?
Moose. I don't know.
Someone talking about like a moose charging you. It's like, I don't know, there's all these things that are so big and small that we can like put in our way of stretching ourselves into more adventure. But then there's also the honoring of ourselves for what's too much, which brings us back to box truck highs and lows. And for me, a low sometimes is that, like, on the outside people are like, oh, it's so great you get to see and do all these things. Yes, it's also a lot for me and who I am as a person. Like, transition is a challenge for me. Do you think someone that transition is a challenge for, that it's easy to pick a life that is like change, you know? Or like someone who's heat sensitive, living without AC. Like, there's all sorts of things where it makes you more resilient, but it can also sometimes max us out.
Yeah, and where am I? No, that was great.
That's my attempt at sharing the real, baby.
Yeah, bud.
I don't
something
call
that
it baby.
New life, baby.
New life, baby is our quote.
Something that I love that I said recently to you is what this box truck affords us. And maybe it's the work that we do too, because everything is so woven together with us, whether it's our marriage, our work, or our living this way. And some people might say that's too
enmeshment. I don't.
Too
whatever.
woven. Well, I don't care what you think. I do, but I'll listen.
I don't actually.
But
in a loving way.
Oh, the point. It takes us to places like my anecdote I always go back to is last year we met someone at a Walmart parking lot. There was a woman in a van, and she hit every national park, and she was in West Virginia because New River Gorge was a new park, and she needed to cross it off her list. But talking to that person, we talked to so many people, a lot of travelers, but talking to that person in particular, and they were so like, not drained, but like just very down on all of it. Like,
unimpressed.
Yeah, just
no awe and magic.
Yeah, there's no magic. There was no like, oh, like this is awesome. Like there was none of that. It was just crossing stuff off a list. And I think so many people do that with this kind of life. And I love that this box truck, for example, more recently took us to a city of, what, 3,000, 5,000?
City?
Yeah.
It's about Elkin size, so four something.
It took us to a small town in the bottom corner of Nebraska. Now that's not on people's like bucket list when they're making all the places they want to go, but I love that our work and this truck. It all took us there, and we got to spend cumulatively probably 2.5 months there, and we got to see real life. We got to see. We got to be part of it. We got to be part of the tempo. We got to capture it through our work, through our painting. I don't know, man. Like, I love the slow travel. I like the way that this works, and I like that it's taking us to places that they're not on top 10 lists in a magazine or whatever, but it's, I don't know, I like also how that connects us to the reality of society or this country or whatever you want to call it.
And there's a lot we took from Fall City, and the biggest one was just that is the kind of speed and tempo in life that we like and we connect with and we want more of in our own story, you know, to be able to like walk into all the downtown businesses and they know who you are. Like, there's just this feeling of being part of community that we love and we thrive off of. We once thought we could eventually one day live on land like on a mountaintop like this, on Marmot land with no people, but we realized the thing that fuels us and keeps us going in a sense is the community connection and feeling part of something bigger than ourselves, and like we can make an impact in some way, even just in like daily human connection. And like I would say I'm a people person in that way. Like, I love connecting with people, talking with people, just being part of that, with the time to also, of course, retreat and all these things we're talking about. But I don't know, Fall City sort of drove that home for us, even with our site visit last fall, that like just the simplicity. We camped out by a lake and got to see just like kids down there riding their bikes, fishing. It was like this American dream that so many have gotten so far away from, and it's still like living there. And sometimes it's helpful to have like a different perspective, like remind you of that. But our work mirrors that, because that's what we saw there in present and in the way people talked about past, but both of those exist there, you know. I don't know, it was just something so special. So like the places we go, on paper it's like, what do you do there? I live there and I connect with people, and I love the interaction in the small moments of a day. And we always say our mural work is like elevating ordinary life on like a grand scale, but that's like what this whole life is. It's seeing the joy in these moments that we live for that are non-quantifiable to other people. Like, it made my day that a local stopped to tell us about wildlife at a trail yesterday, and to like tell us the route of a trail. And like, I texted my mom and I'm like, we do that for people in Elkin. Like, when I see someone with a map, I'm like, oh, do you need me to tell you? Like, it's that connection of experience that I live for a little bit, a lot of it. Like, I do.
Yeah, and I think our special thing is allowing those experiences and interactions to go into us, to feed our vision for what we want more of in life.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's not just entertainment. It's an investment into the overall big picture for us, and everything informs. That's what we say. Even if it's the worst thing ever, or the medium bad, or good, or the best thing ever, it all informs us by how we're responding to it. It all informs us of what we want more of or less of, or I don't know, like, we didn't know that we didn't want to be secluded on a mountaintop until we did that for a matter of months. Like, we didn't know what that life would be like until we experienced it, and it informed us that, okay, yeah, actually we need nature, but we also need the balance of social. We need community. We need the village, and we also need the village not to be mega. We need small village.
Yeah, we're small village people. That's something we've learned, and this work told us that, you know, because before this work, we thought St. Augustine, where we lived, was a small town.
Yeah.
Which was like busting at the seams then, and can't even talk about how much that's changed since. But, you know, but there was something there that informed us, and that was walking into a place where you knew everybody, sort of like working with local entities for creative things. Like, all of that has gone with us. It's
Yeah.
just gone to more like we've fallen in love with rural, small America. And I think there's this city mindset that it's like lesser in some way. And that could be projecting. Maybe city people don't feel that way.
Well, we've heard people say that, literally.
We have it, or it's like, oh yeah, it's so great you're doing that work for these places. I'm like, these places are my places.
Yeah.
These places are aligned with who I am. And some of that could be where I came from. I don't know. You know, or where my mom grew up in Elkin and why we find so much connection in that kind of small town, or, you know, I don't know. There's just this calling we have to work and inhabit in these places.
Well, it's also like listening to who we are as people. Like,
Yeah.
if we were different people, the city might be
Yeah.
totally appropriate to us. But we realize how we get overwhelmed in a city environment. There's
Oh my
stimulation of sound, movement, light, you know, you name it. And, you know, we see less of that and more alignment in smaller places. And
I would have to drink again to live in a city. That's just me. To be able to like drown out some of the sensory. Like I would have to. I mean, I don't say that to be funny or whatever, but like, and I'm sure, yeah, meditation, there's other things I could do, but that's my analogy when I think of like,
yeah,
because
you'd have to cope in some way with
Yeah.
all of that,
yeah,
that volume of action and other people's storylines and the crossovers. It's a lot. And yeah,
we both grew up wanting to move to a bigger city. That's I think what I mean. Like, and I visited places and
yeah.
I went, I experienced, I drank, I saw, I
And we-
conquered, I did so much, but
And we thought murals would take us to big cities too, and that's what, you know, we really didn't know until we were at Habitable Spaces in rural Texas.
Kingsbury, Texas, 2017, baby.
We didn't know how important that art could be in spaces where it wasn't overly abundant, and that we could play a part, and that works so well with the way that we liked to connect with people, that the art could be a continuation of that. And so that was just another thing that informed us, and it just, I don't know, like, you follow the alignment wherever you see it, and you try not to plan out where it's going to be, but you listen, and you feel it, and then you reflect on, okay, yeah, Nashville, that's too much, you know, like, we can't.
I once really thought I was moving there, like, when I was 22, 23, so just...
And I'm not putting down that place, I'm just saying, like, that's just
Asheville, also.
That's not our place.
Yeah.
And I think it's really, really important to know who you are and what is aligning, what is feeding you, but at the same time not pushing you over the edge.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
I also wanted to say the thing we tell other people, not through the screen but in real life, is that this work and this travel and where it takes us, like, we've had so many shaping conversations in the last 7-8 years. I mean, and especially the last 4 since doing this full time, which has all been within this election cycle, within the pandemic, you know, all of this. But I don't know, like, we don't have this sense. We're trusting what's in front of us rather than the news cycle as far as interactions with people. And so, like, we're inherently not afraid to talk with people. I'm not afraid for someone to have a different viewpoint. I'm not going to immediately think that person's like the worst person in the world. And I don't know, like, I meet so many people that I think just social media has pitted people against each other is what I'm really trying to say. And we feel like we've had so many great conversations with people that have very different lives and viewpoints than us. And some of them, it's like, it's so beautiful to see, though, like, now that I've seen your life you're living, like, I can understand why you feel that way.
Yeah.
Whether it's like, I don't know, sometimes for me it attracts like old white men, and also like
It's your bread and butter.
that's like the thing that I get, like, on paper you'd think, oh my gosh, why is that the person you're talking to? But honestly, like, I don't know, like, I'm not afraid to have those conversations, or if someone did say something that I didn't agree with or that was like harmful in any way. Like obviously I'd say something if needed, but most of the time we just have the most peaceful conversations and find our shared humanity. Like it's happened so many times, and sometimes it's just me sitting on a bench or us sitting out, but I get into like these like really involved conversations.
She's like, I'm gonna go for a walk, and then I'm in here working on something or napping or whatever, and I'm like, she's been gone forever. And I look out the window and she's talking to
me and a middle-aged man about like
on a park bench, you know,
thoughts on like childbirth and my feelings about like the pharmaceutical company, like all sorts of stuff that I'm like, and we find this shared humanity about it, and it's like we're more alike than different. People just aren't
all of us. Like all of us, we're
we're
more the same than we are different from one another.
But I think the internet and other things have made it like, don't question anything, don't challenge anything. This is how it is. Like that's never worked for me. My brain wasn't born that way. Like my mom can tell you that. I'm like, why is this like this? Why is this? Why is this? Why is someone telling me I got to do this? I don't understand. Like, but I don't know. Like the conversations we have with people that on paper are not like us. And then sometimes the people that you'd think would be like us, I don't know. I was just thinking of like one or two times where someone's like almost been upset with me that I don't have this view of hate towards other people because they think like we're both women, we should feel this way, and it's like I do feel that way, but I don't hate other people for not feeling that way. And I think that's the biggest thing that's been a growing point for us, because I would say I wasn't necessarily like that back before this life, but this life has told me that I don't have all the answers. No one other person has all the answers. So to be curious and open to why someone has gotten to where they are, it's the only way there can be healing in relationship, in country, in world. I think that's like the growth I'm the most proud of myself for in this, the personal other inner work, whatever, but this other work of like connecting with people, that's the part I'm most proud of, because
I mean, I still believe, I mean, in our work, the best thing that has made it a success and the way that we're living this way, the thing that has made it the success that it is in our marriage, the way that has made it the success it is conversation. And we say it on our website, we say it on our business cards.
I don't know
say
if
it a little bit too much.
Still says
it doesn't?
That, but
okay.
It does.
It's all for connection. And if you really, really zoom out, and some people do this more than often, you think about the meaning of why are we on this spinning rock flying through space? What is this all for? If you believe in a God that created us, why create us this way? Why put us here in this way?
And even if you
hold
don't.
On.
Oh, sorry.
I think it's to communicate and be with others. And I think it's one of the biggest things. And I'm not saying like give yourself away constantly to other people, but I think it's like there's magic. There's like a spark that happens when you come together with someone else, whether it's somebody close or a stranger, and it's sharing that real life human story with one another, where there's this like magic, and
that's how I see the spiritual. That's when I have those moments. I'm not always tapped into that, but that's when I know there's something bigger than me. Like that's how I find it. When I'm in my head or I'm spinning out over something, and then like I go meet with the conversation I meant to have, and I'm just like floored by it, and I'm like, that's how I find God, or that's how I find this connection to the spirit of the universe and this eternal whatever. Like that's how I find it. And also showing up on a mountaintop when there's a breeze and it's fall feelings, yes, and I can connect with myself, but it really comes through those moments of shared humanity that are hard to like explain to other people why they matter so much to us. Because sometimes it's with someone I'll never see again, like ever.
And that doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter like what the future is, or relationship is in the future. And people have been critical of us, like you're really close with like strangers you've never met, and it's like, yeah, but you know, there's no pressure there, and there's no like, it doesn't have to be this thing later. It's just like a here and now thing. Like you're here in this existence, I'm here, and we have this connection. And maybe that's all it is. Maybe it's 5 minutes or an hour. Maybe it reconnects later down the road. Maybe it doesn't at all. And that's the beauty of it. And I think that's where this life takes us to more. And when we think about how we want to change our life in the future, because there are things that are resistances with living this way, there are sacrifices, there are things that don't totally align with us. We're always recorrecting ourselves. And that has given us, they're future ideas. They're also false until they're reality, but it has given us it's changed our direction a little bit.
Yeah.
But what will be the same are the alignments that we've made along this way. And that's community, that's nature, that's reverence for dialogue and
giving people a space to feel seen and heard. I think that's like, maybe they say it's like your biggest wound, so it's your biggest thing you want to give others, or it's just who you are and it's what you want to give others.
I think
Both can be true for people. I'm curious what you think, if this aligns with you. But like, I don't love making people feel seen and heard because I have to. It's just like who I am. Yeah. And I'm sure there's people that are like, I don't know, at least I'm sure there's someone out there that's like, that doesn't check out for you. But I think like, I don't know, maybe it does for most people I interact with, maybe it doesn't, but I think that's like my gift. I do.
It is.
To make people feel seen and heard, like it's a superpower. It's still something I struggle with though, like being myself and exercising my own right to be seen and heard, or like not feeling like I'm taking up too much space. So, but yeah, it's like if I'm not doing that, what the am I doing? Like if I'm not here to make myself feel seen and heard, make other people, and connect to the bigger source of all of it, like none of it matters to me. And I will say that feeling has been a little bit with me from an early age. I just didn't know how to transmute it. And I think our partnership's really special because we get the chance to do that together. And it gives us like the strength to do something we wouldn't do separately, whether it's murals, whether it's this life. I have no intention of having any part of this life if it wasn't together. It doesn't mean I'm not living my truth, because I am, but my truth is in a partnership, and within that partnership, this is our path. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know where this was going, but my point is like, all this is character development.
Oh yeah, we wrote that down. It is. Like we're evolving, and
turn Domi on. I
turned the fridge off, so it wouldn't buzz during this. We should probably end it here because we're at.
I know. Can we just do 5 more minutes?
42 minutes.
I think if someone watches, like, if you watch the whole thing, please tell me something you took away from this. Not to stroke my ego, because but so that I know there's a value, because sometimes my own processing system doesn't know how things will be perceived. So I'm always interested.
Yeah. This video is an experiment for us, but like I said at the beginning, like we want to put this version of ourselves out there and not just be a production of an edited video. Which
I think is real. We won't say that's not. I want to double down on that a little bit.
Yeah. No, because those people are saying good things too. That's us in those videos. But
it's just a different mode.
It is a different mode. And I don't know. This didn't exactly go how I thought it was going to go. But
no, I walked around and scripted some things when I was outside with the marmots.
Scripted things you just said?
No, none of that.
That wasn't real?
No. I'm saying I thought, I'll talk about this, and it'll go from this to this, and I trip up a lot in my head of trying to sequence things, and it never comes out that way. But yet the thing I'm encouraging others to do is be a real human and not worry about how something comes out, and not worry about being misperceived. So I like this. I'm happy with it going out. I looked at that screen a little too much.
I think it's so far away that we can't tell that we're not looking
Okay.
at the lens.
I just want to say that now before you look back.
But if you think that we should do some more of this along the way, or even find ways to interact this more with you who's watching, we have an interest. So if you like this, comment on it of anything that you think was a valuable takeaway or something that it brought up with you that you want to share. That's what we love. So yeah, so maybe we'll do some more of these videos. Subscribe for some of these things in the future, plus some of our doings, like our mural video that we have coming next. And
which I am really excited about.
it's really
like
good. It's really, really good. For the not picking up the camera in like I don't know how many months, like I was resistant at the first bit of it. So like but Sarah picked it up, and I'm so grateful that she did, because I'm over here editing this video. I'm just like, dang, I'm so glad we captured that, or I'm so glad we were able to share that in the moment. And like I said, it's always a balance of when you pick up that camera and how real it is. But yeah, they're in two parts. But painting a mural, a giant freaking mural in Falls City, Nebraska. It was
I think it's one of our pinnacle or pinnacle, as my dad says,
for sure
experiences with this work, because it got us back to why it matters so much, working directly with community, the meaning, all of it mattering so much. Before that, we were like, can we do this work and make it matter less? And the answer was like, no, because that's the point of this work. So
yeah,
we were just a little tapped out. So this filled us up in all the right ways to have the time we need to have now on the other side too. So I'm excited to keep integrating things.
So for now, goodbye.
We're gonna go watch some marmots and chill.
Good job, bud.